Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the train station. As always, I am your host, Aint, and it's been a couple of weeks since I've gotten on here to talk to you guys, but there's been some news going around, and I'm here to give my thoughts on it. You might be asking, what's the news? The whole cheating scandal with the University of Michigan. Here are my initial thoughts. Before I get into the accusation of the cheating alone, let me give a little bit of background on why it's coming up now. So before the name, image, and likeness NIL deals were a thing, Jim Harbaugh was very instrumental in going against the NCAA and wanting these NIL deals to get done. He was very outspoken about it. He said, hey, the NCAA makes billions of dollars. We make millions of dollars off of these kids. Why can't the kids get their share of it? So he was very instrumental in getting the kids paid at a better level than just a scholarship and whatnot. He was very instrumental in the whole NIL deal. Then you have the whole off-season recruiting. You have the whole off-season recruiting hamburger COVID incident thing where Jim Harbaugh pretty much told the NCAA to F off. And they didn't really like that. And so now they're really trying to just find any sort of way they can to get back at Harbaugh. And I think that's how this initially started. So the NCAA wasn't even originally going to investigate. And then some coach in the Big Ten cried, got his panties in a bunch, and decided that it was best if he complained to the NCAA that Michigan is cheating by stealing signs. So the original narrative, before even the sign stealing began, was that Michigan didn't play anybody. And now that Michigan's, I'm going to pull up their schedule here in just a moment, their opponents are better than what people thought. They're continuing to move the goalposts to find something else. So if you give me a second here to pull up their schedule, right here, this way. So, over, whatever, this way or whatever, over here. I heard that Michigan hasn't played anybody. UNLV is 6-1. Their only loss coming to Michigan. Bowling Green is 500. Rutgers 6-2. Only losses to Michigan and Ohio State. They've beaten everybody else. Nebraska above 500. Minnesota above 500. The only ones that are iffy are Indiana, Michigan State, and East Carolina, who are 1-6 and 2-5 respectively. But I was told Michigan doesn't play anybody, so now that their schedule is tougher than originally thought, they continue to move the goalposts, and now allege that Michigan is stealing signs from their opponents. Which is just not true. They didn't need signs to beat East Carolina. They didn't need to steal signs to beat UNLV or Bowling Green or Rutgers or Nebraska, Minnesota, Indiana, or even Michigan State. They didn't need to steal their signs to whoop the teams. The difference is people think Michigan is cheating because they're not only winning, they're absolutely dominating. Like 30-3, 35-7, 31-6, 31-7, 45-7, 52-10, 52-7, and 49-0. At some point, at some point you just have to look in the mirror and realize, yeah, this Michigan team is good. Like, doesn't matter who they play, who they have played, who they continue to play. They still got to play Penn State. They'll dominate because James Franklin is a fraud. They'll whoop on soft Ryan Day Ohio State again. And then they'll go into the playoffs undefeated. At some point you have to look in the mirror and say, wow, this team is actually just really good. But it went from Michigan doesn't play anybody to Michigan stealing signs and cheating. So why do we continuously move the goalposts to appease or to discredit Michigan? Like, it's always been Ryan Day against Notre Dame said it's Ohio against the world. It's always been Ohio. No, nobody hates Ohio. ESPN loves Ohio State. Everybody seems to love Ohio State. Everybody hates Harbaugh. Everybody hates Michigan. So the narrative is going to continue to be Michigan against the world, Michigan versus everybody. Because now that Michigan's schedule, as I have it pulled up here, is better than what people originally thought, they're finding something else to discredit what this Michigan team has done. Now, as far as the sign stealings go, Connor Stallions has been on every Michigan sideline. He bought tickets for family members, etc. But that doesn't mean that he's cheating. Anybody can go to a game, steal signs, post it online, and be like, look, he's not getting paid. He's been not getting paid this entire time to do that. And as long as a staffer is not getting paid, it is legal. It is a very gray area in the NCAA that they need to address themselves. That's not Michigan's fault. Every team, why does every other team allowed to scout? But when it's Michigan, it's cheating. It's sign stealing. It's this and that. It's scouting your opponent, getting ready for what's to come. If you're not changing certain signs based on a week-to-week basis, like you see the signs all the time on the sideline. They'll have like 4 pictures. It'll be like Daffy Duck, Taylor Swift, chocolate milk, and the Lions logo. That'll be one of their signs. It'll be like it'll be like chocolate milk Swift. So if you're not changing that on a week-to-week basis, that's on you. That is not on your opponent. If you can't realize hey, this means man to man, or you're on your own, and Michigan or any other team catches that, that's on you. That is not on the University of Michigan. That is just scouting. And they're not even, and the big thing they have here is in-season scouting. Tell me one team in the SEC, in the Big 12, in the Pac-12, in the AAC, in the ACC, in the MAC that doesn't do some sort of in-person scouting. In-season, in-person scouting. Everybody does it. There is not one program that isn't perfectly squeaky clean. Every top program cheats to an extent. Every top program. And it's even a grayer area now that the NIL is a thing. Because now with the NIL being a thing, you can legally pay players and get away with it. So now it's an even bigger gray area. Stealing sign, Alabama, there's no way that they've been clean this entire time, even before NIL. Why are they coming down so hard on Harbaugh and Michigan? It's because Jim Harbaugh has been an instrument to taking money away from the NCAA. When Paul Feinbaum, SEC analyst who cannot stand Jim Harbaugh and Michigan, agrees with Harbaugh and takes Harbaugh's side that this case is a bunch of baloney, you better believe that this case is a bunch of baloney, because Harbaugh and Feinbaum hate each other. He doesn't like anything Harbaugh. He doesn't agree with anything Harbaugh. So the fact that he is taking Harbaugh's side on this, throw the whole case out. The NCAA doesn't even have a case. The NCAA has very little power left with the NIL and everything else, that they are trying to flex the little bit of power that they have left against Harbaugh for in-person scouting or in-person whatever, because they feel so insecure about having like little to no power left that they're trying to flex it as much as they can on Michigan. It's not until Michigan became really successful that these allegations have started to come out. Nobody said it, years ago when we had Brady Hoke and we had all these guys, and we weren't doing that good. Nobody was accusing Michigan of sign stealing. Now that, or even Harbaugh's first few years when myself and everybody else in the fan base wanted Harbaugh fired. Nobody said anything about him stealing signs. Now suddenly he's built the program to the point where they can compete for a national championship year in and year out, to the point where he has a dominating defense, a potential Heisman winning quarterback. It's gotten to the point where Michigan is so good and so dominant that they've become hated. And now Michigan's always been hated to an extent, but now they're dominating your favorite teams to the point where you hate them now too. And like I said, it went from Michigan plays nobody to look at Michigan cheating and stealing signs because they have to beat UNLV, who's now 6-1 with their only loss coming to Michigan. It's a bunch of baloney. They didn't spy on the other team's practices without them knowing. And here's another thing about it. When you're at the game, that is public knowledge. I could do the same thing that Michigan is being accused of and get away with it. I could go to any game. I could go to an Ohio State game. I could go to an Alabama, a Clemson, a Virginia Tech, anything. I could go to any game, scout what the hand signals are, post it online, and then that team could find, the opposing team could find what I just posted and use that information. It is public information. Practices are closed to the public, so that is a little different. They're not spying. They're not the Patriots. They're not spying on other teams' practices. They're going to the games and scouting. If that is such an issue of knowing who your opponent is, then every team in the NCAA should have some sort of violation against them. Because what's the point in getting ready for your opponent and knowing the opponent's signals? If you're not doing that at some point, you're not prepared to face your opponent, and your opponent is going to run all over you. So every team, every university does it to an extent. But because it's Michigan, and people love to hate on Michigan, you continue to move the goalposts to fit your narrative so that Michigan gets in trouble. Baylor was caught doing in-person scouting. No scholarships taken away. No bowl bans taken away. This was a few years ago. No bowl bans. No wins vacated. No scholarships lost. The only thing that they did to punish them was they suspended the staffers for 3 weeks without pay. So even if Michigan does get punished, they've already done the step that the NCAA is going to do, and the Connor Stallions guy who's being accused has already been suspended for the remainder of the season. So they've taken care of the violation on their own. The self-imposed 3-game ban that Michigan already had to put on Harbaugh for the hamburger recruiting incident because he told the NCAA to F off. So they self-imposed a 3-game ban. They didn't need him for East Carolina, UNLV, or Bowling Green. Regardless, 3 or 4 games, whatever it was, 3 or 4 games. He didn't need him for the first 4 games. Obviously, those teams have been better than what they expected. And so they need something else now. The Rutgers coach, Greg Schiano, was complaining that Michigan stole their signs. No, you just stink. It is not Michigan's fault that they are better than you. And that is why teams are mad. When it comes down to it, nobody complains that Alabama dominates their opponents. Nobody complains that Ohio State or Clemson or anybody else dominates their opponents. But when Michigan comes into your face and dominates you, it becomes a problem. Michigan against the world. Wolverines versus everybody. It's always been that way. It'll continue to be that way. The NCAA can go suck an egg because this is a non-story. And I can't even believe I have to discuss this. We will see later on when Michigan wins the national championship. I'm calling it now. 14 minutes and 25 seconds into this video. October 24th, 2023, 1:47 p.m. I'm calling it now. Your national champion is this team right here. The Michigan Wolverines will be the 2024 national champions. Book it. Count it. Whatever you want. The NCAA hates to see Michigan succeed, so Michigan is going to succeed in spite of the NCAA. Laugh all you want. That's dominant. That's winning football, and they're going to continue that against good opponents. But they didn't play anybody. Look at the schedule. Clearly they play people. Rutgers 6 wins. Nobody saw that one coming. UNLV, first-year head coach, 6-1. The Mountain West is madly disrespected this year. 6-1. Boom. Bowling Green, 500. Nebraska, over 500. Nobody seen that coming. Nobody seen Minnesota to be as good as they were with a big win over Iowa. Continue to move the goalposts, and Michigan's just going to continue to follow it. Move the goalposts as wide as you want. Michigan's just going to continue to go down the road of dominance. This is a non-story. Can't believe I have to talk about it. That's my thoughts and opinions on it. If you don't agree, you like the NCAA, you can go suck an egg. Because at that point, you're just a hater. Everybody knows this is a non-story. Why it's still being talked about, why I still have to get on here and discuss it weeks later, is ridiculous. It's a non-story. The NCAA is just scared that Michigan is good again, and that's all it comes. And everybody else that plays them, and everybody else that accused Michigan of sign stealing is scared, or they got smacked in the mouth, and they want to cry about it now. It's a non-story. Go blue. Easy. Non-story. They didn't cheat. They haven't cheated to the extent that people think that they have. And the only ones who agree that they have either hate Michigan, are an Ohio State fan, or are a Michigan State fan. Simple. Those three people are the only people that agree that Michigan's cheating. And that's Michigan State fans, Ohio State fans, or people who just hate Michigan. Simple. That's all I have for you today. 17 minutes of me ranting on a bunch of nonsense. I will be back later this week to drop my first ever college football A-Train's top 25. For the first time, I'll be dropping my top 25 rankings. Number 1 might surprise some people. That's all I'm going to say. So be on the lookout for that later this weekend. Also, if you guys haven't already, for those of you that have gotten this far, please, I stream on Twitch 4 days a week. Please give it a follow. Twitch.tv/theatrain95. I do Mario Kart. I do Warzone. I do Call of Duty Warzone. I do throwback games. I do all sorts of things. I do NFL predictions. That's where my NFL predictions have moved. That's why it's been a couple of weeks since you've seen it. So please follow the Twitch, twitch.tv/theatrain95. I'm live. I'll be live tomorrow, or if this video drops on Wednesday, I will be live later that day. Completely open on Wednesday, so I don't know what I'm going to be playing. Might be horror, might be Call of Duty, might be Mario. I don't know. Completely open. Wednesdays are completely open. Thursdays, throwback Thursdays. Fridays are usually first-person Fridays, but you know, I've also had Fridays kind of open up as well. Mondays are Mario. Yeah, so I'm pretty much open to playing anything at any time. Love playing video games. Watch the rest of my videos, please. I have lots of videos up, lots of good videos up. I've done interviews. I've done all sorts of different things on the channel. Please give it a like. Please give it, and please subscribe to the channel. It means a great amount to me. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Can't believe this was a topic. Peace.